and welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes. I am joined by Wayne. I've done this all wrong, but it's okay. But I'm going to continue. We don't have time to go back and forth. You're Wayne. They call me Stepney. How are you, Wayne? How are you this evening?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good. I can't complain. It's cold. It's cold outside, but that's okay. I'm not a cold person. I like the heat.
I like it cold actually, but there we go.
Some people do, Some people do.
I can always put more clothes on, but there's only so much I can take off before I get in trouble.
Indecent exposure or something like that. That's all good. Wayne, shall we get things kicked off with my good first one, which is tell people a little bit about who you are and your journey to where you are today.
Okay, that's a big question, isn't it?
It's an opening one. It's a good opening one.
That is a big open question. Tell viewers a little bit about who you are. My name is Wayne Murphy Jerrett. I'm 51 years of age, and I'm fairly recently begun pursuing the career of acting. But prior to this, I've been a successful jewelry designer. I've run my own business a few times. And I also have a first-class degree in computer science and a qualified software engineer as well. So this is kind of my third phase, I suppose you could call it.
It's like the Marvel universe. This is phase 3.
Yeah, it is. This is the third phase in Wayne's cinematic universe.
Yeah.
If I can say that.
It's quite bizarre because I don't see how all three of those universes link up. I'm sure they've got to link up in phase 3 at some point. But
well, I've got a theory on that. If you want to hear it, I think.
Yeah.
So I have, I've got a first-class degree in computer science. So that requires an excellent level of mathematical understanding. But prior to that, I was a silversmith and a jewelry designer. And I'm always creating and making stuff. But also at a young age, I studied art. And one of the things you learn when you study art is you learn about color theory, and you learn about things like armatures, which is the structure beneath a painting. So when you go into a gallery and you see a beautiful painting, beneath that painting is a very precise mathematical structure. So my view is that, and I mean, it's not my view, it's my understanding that, there is a marriage of science and art, and it's the same with acting. You watch a great performance of an actor and it can appear very organic and truthful and real and beautiful, and it is, but there'll be an awful lot of disciplined work and structure that will have gone into getting to that point. So I'm already lost where I was going with that one.
Well, you were marrying them all together. So
the 3 phases of the universe. Yeah. So science and art, as from my perspective, are intertwined.
It's again, I didn't know that about the art and the behind the picture. I mean, I have to take more of an effort to look at things, I guess, and try and understand that a bit more. And it seems that you've always been creative. So as you go back to the child when you were doing art, still being a silversmith is an art form. Computer science is again, it's another art form. It's an art of computers, and you're here now. So you've always been creative.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, and I've always got several projects on the go that aren't just acting or something like that. So I mean, at the moment, I'm making a short film collaboration with some actors that I met on Twitter. Quite an interesting concept, actually. I have never spoke to any of them or met them, in person, just through the keyboard on Twitter and WhatsApp. And we've collaborated on making a script. They've all filmed their own. I've directed at a distance, sent them like shot lists and instructions on how to light the shot and whatnot. But they've also, of course, got their own creative license. And then I'm bringing that all back together and cutting it into a short film, which we'll be releasing on Twitter in a few weeks when it's finished. And I'm really excited by that, actually, because at the beginning, one of the actors said, "Oh, should we set up a Zoom call?" And I said, "Well, actually, let's not. Let's keep that distance just for an experiment and see what can we achieve." In other words, my view was, if you're at home, maybe you can't get out because of maybe you've got mobility issues, or you've got, in my case, family commitments that really eat into your time, and you think, I wish I could make a film or achieve some project, but I've got all these constraints. Well, you can still work within any constraints. You can still create something. So yeah, well, we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing that. I'm also building a shed for my son in the garden to put his weights in. So we've got an outdoor. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. At the same time, I've built a Minecraft server on a Raspberry Pi for him and the local kids to play with, so they can all be online at different times. And there's probably a couple of other things I've forgotten. My wife said the other day, you've got 5 projects on the go at once. So yeah, I think there's a burning desire to be busy and creative.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very busy. With regards to the film, it sounds like a new way of doing things, and it sounds like that the idea was, although to keep people separate, is to obviously it's all going to come together in one film.
Yeah.
How have you found that? What that must have been a challenge, surely.
Yeah, well, it's so far it's exceeded my expectations with what they've produced. So one actor, for example, the first piece of work that came in, a lady called Helen, and her part is just a voiceover. She's a voice on the phone. Didn't really know an awful lot about this lady, but sent her the script, and she's sent back the recording of her voiceover. Absolutely impeccable recording, the audio quality. A shame, really, because I have to sort of dirty it up to make it sound like she's on the phone, but it's better to start with something good. Anyway, it turns out she's got a great home studio setup and used to be a sound engineer with the BBC, so she totally knows what she's doing. But a couple of text messages and boom, in my inbox there's this immaculate audio. Another chap that I've sent the script to, and all of his parts are silent, but he's got the most sort of dramatic. In fact, it's someone you interviewed recently, Martin Spenlove.
Oh yes, Marty.
Yeah, so his parts. So you spoke to him. I haven't. I've only texted. Anyway.
I've met him.
You've met, yeah, in person.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I met him. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. And he was doing a film with my other half where she was doing the makeup and stuff like that. And the director asked if the kids and I wanted to, just be in the background sort of thing. And actually.
Brilliant. Well, he's done. So his parts are, they're like cutaway shots to a there's a conversation going on between some people on the phone, but you sort of cut away to some action whilst you're hearing the phone call, and the cutaways are Martin's parts, but they are the most dramatic elements of the film. So he is portrayed in various emotional states. Anyway, he's been sending me these shots, and again, I've basically sent him a a document, like a pages document with instructions. But I haven't done storyboards. I just, said sort of roughly the kind of, the sort of level of framing, the style of lighting. So there's still, there's some direction, but it's not, they've got some artistic license. And yeah, these shots, they come in and wow, amazing. Amazing stuff. And yeah, I'm going to add you to the updates. Actually, I've been doing updates on Twitter. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it'll go live and you get to see it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. You know what? Like I said, is I like projects like that because they're different. Yeah. And to see basically you've got all the actors doing their own everything.
Yeah.
And then you're going to piece it together with your own work as well. And it's going to
so I'm in it as well. I'm going to film a short scene of myself as well. So they're kind of, they're basically, they're self-tapes, but, it's not, I'll do a self-tape. It's create a scene, but within your home.
That's going to be, I can't wait to see it because I without giving away too much, and please tell me if you can't say anything. Can they, do they meet in any of the scenes? But obviously.
So it's called Three Brothers Grimm. So hashtag Three Brothers Grimm. And they don't meet, but myself and another actor, Tristan Pretty, we have a conversation on the phone. In the film, the sort of narrative thread that everything else hangs off is the two of us on a phone call, which gets over the fact that two actors are talking to each other in different locations. But we haven't actually had a conversation, so he's filmed his bit, with on the phone with his partner, feeding him my lines, and I would do the same in reverse and give the illusion that we have a conversation, having never spoke.
That's going to be, it sounds like something that's just going to be amazing because, in theory, that's how it usually works. Whether you're on a big film set or not, you don't have two people doing that phone call. They each record their own lines.
There's often someone just feeding the actor the lines, isn't there?
Yeah,
and they cut it together later.
I'm looking forward to this now. So, yes, please keep me in the updates for that. I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, it's only short. The script's only 2 pages long, so we're only expecting 2 to 3 minutes long. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I've got a good feeling about it, though. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about it. Like I said, I know Martin, and I say I know Martin. I've met Martin, whereas you haven't, and he's fantastic. He embraces the chaos, and he always goes full out and prepares very, very well. So
yeah, well, I could see that in what he sent through, and I was very pleased with that because I'm the same. I will anything I work on. My sort of ethos is I assume that this is the best, most important project I will ever have, and it's my last. And that's how I view it. And you think, yeah, you might never do anything ever again. So make this count.
Make it the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Three Brothers Grimm, you say?
Three Brothers Grimm, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to keep my eye out on that one. You'll have to update me as you do.
I will. Yeah.
So we've got art. So I'm guessing you're quite handy with a brush. We've got the computer science, and I heard you. I'm only going to mention this because if my kids listen to this, they'll go, Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, they obviously love Minecraft.
Yeah.
You've used Raspberry Pi to create this thing. My kids are going to ask me, how do I play it? Can they play it?
They won't be able to play this server because I've made this specifically for. Well, it's kind of to solve a bit of child politics. So where I live, there's a lot of kids, and there's boys and there's girls, and they all play Minecraft together, and they can see when each other is online. So the boys are online and the girls are like, oh, let me join the game. So then they get invited, and then when the boys aren't there, the girls will break what the boys have built. And when the boys aren't there, the other way round, or whichever way I said it. And then they're like, oh, those girls ruin it, or oh, those boys ruin it. Anyway, I've only got one child. That's my son. So I said, well, I'll make this, keep it on the download. I'll make this server just for the boys, and we won't invite the girls. I mean, sorry, girls, nothing personal. And then we'll just solve all the politics. And because it's private, the girls don't even know it exists.
How would they know?
They would know, unless they watch this, which they probably won't. No, nothing. No offense. It's not their bag.
Oh, that's one way to solve a problem. I mean,
yeah,
I get that a lot, and my two are. My daughter's older than my son, but he always wants. My daughter's usually the ones that play with her friends online. He doesn't really play. I think he plays more the Roblox type of stuff.
Oh yeah,
with friends online, and it's always whenever they do play together online. Yeah, one is always destroying the other's work, and it's just all you hear is "Stop it!" How you do it?
Yeah,
I just leave them to it. I zone out.
Yeah.
It's easier to zone out.
They're so quick to those primal moves: bash, break, shout. Yeah, but anyway.
Things I never understood Minecraft, and
nor did I till recently.
I think I still don't. And Minecraft and Roblox, and I watch them play, and I go, but Mario is much more fun.
Yeah. Well, it's I think if your kids do play Minecraft, it's not something to worry about, because it is quite creative. It's non-linear. It's not a game that you play a story. It's building stuff. It's sort of like digital Lego, I think. Is one way of seeing it.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Like I said, they show me all the stuff that they do, and go, "Oh, look what I've done," and I always go, "Okay." And I did, as you said, it's like a digital Lego, so I can sort of see what they're doing. But while they're actually building it, I'm just always going, "What's that?" It just looks like blocks in a line.
Yeah, it amazes me that in the 21st century they're into this game that looks like something from when I was a kid in the 80s.
It's absolutely. I mean, it's great because we've been able to play other games. That are older games that are a bit more 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit graphics wise, and they don't know the difference. So it's absolutely great. So you've got into the acting world, acting, directing sort of world. You're known as the voice, the what do they call your voice?
Oh, I don't have. They don't. Not that I'm aware of.
No.
What, someone's given a name to my voice.
Yeah, I think they said you've got like a gruff voice.
Okay, yeah, a gruff voice. Yeah, absolutely. I think that came about in puberty. I used to get really upset. People would think when I'd answer the phone, people would always think it was my mum, and they'd be like, "Oh, hello, Teresa. Yeah, how you doing?" And I'd be like, "It's not Teresa, it's Wayne." And then I was so happy when my voice broke. Like, "Oh, hello."
Yes.
So yeah, it didn't used to be like that, but there you go.
Well, it's good. It's unique. It's distinctive, and it must work well on the telephone as well. Which I suppose when you do this short, it will probably.
I did a short recently, a similar thing where I collaborated with a writer on Twitter. Again, someone I never met or spoke to. He just sent me a monologue, and I put together a self-tape with stock footage. So cutting, which is another top tip, by the way, if you want to make your own film, if you just do a couple of shots, all I did was a single shot, kind of a bit like what you're seeing here, but with a nicer camera, and another overhead shot of me typing on a typewriter. And that was the only 2 shots I did, and then cut it with free stock footage and a voiceover track. And everybody that saw it on Twitter was very complimentary. And it's sort of, you can really up your production values by cutting away to free stock footage that's just, you've had to do nothing but download, but you spend hours editing it into the right points and whatnot. But yeah, that went really well. And funnily enough, someone did comment about my voice. So yeah, I have had comments about it before, I suppose.
That's what you have to do. You have to do more voice stuff.
Yeah,
distinctive voice.
Well, I've always said I've got a great face for radio. You see, you can tell I'm a 50-year-old dad with a joke like that, can't you?
See, I'm a 41-year-old dad, and
there you go.
I've got my kids into dad jokes, so
yeah,
they love them. They're the best things.
It's like a switch. As soon as you have kids, something click, on it goes.
They're
really embarrassed.
It's great because I'm always like, you always hear me go. They'll say something. I go, "There's a song in there somewhere," and they'll go, "What?" And then I'll pull out a song and go, "Yeah, there you go. There's a song." And they'll go, "Well, how?" I said, "There's always a song in there."
Yeah.
What made you get into this? What made you change to get into this field of work where you are now? What made you go into the acting, directing, screenwriting sort of?
So when I was still a jewelry designer, it's probably about 15 years ago now. This was just before I met my wife. I saw an advert in the local paper, and it was just a little sort of personal ad, but the headline said "Men Wanted," and I thought, hello, what's this? I was single at the time, but and it caught my eye, and it was a local Amdram group looking for actors, and I think they always struggled to find blokes to fill the male roles. So I joined this amateur dramatics group and really, really enjoyed it. Just loved it. And then decided, off of doing a few plays with that, I thought, you know what, I want to study. This is something I really want to do, actually. And so I applied for drama schools, failed all my auditions, had no idea what I was doing. And then wife got pregnant and started a family. So I just kind of parked it, really. And then obviously, as you know, when you have kids, suddenly everything changes. So that was when I decided to get a degree and be a software engineer. Thought I'll do something much more sensible, sensible family man. But I still kept going to acting classes, like little short courses and things like that. So I'd go up to, I've done a few method workshops in London, some workshops in Bristol, and look out, like I'm going to an improv class on Sunday. So I just started grabbing little bits along the way, but didn't really do much other than a bit, these little bits of training, because having a family just kind of took over. But then last year, I saw an advert, a casting call on Facebook. There was a chap so I live in North Devon. There's a chap just moved back to the area, having been in London for 20 years, a writer, and he was putting on a play at the local theatre. And he wanted to cast local actors if he could. So he put out this casting call. And I responded, and he gave me the lead. he was so impressed with my reading, and in the end, he cast everyone else he brought down from London. So I was with all these people that were trained professional actors. The girl, the lady playing my daughter, had just finished a 2-year stint in Emmerdale, and there I was, just this 50-year-old bloke from Devon. But it was brilliant. It was an amazing play. It was really well received, and people were going up to the writer and director afterwards, and they said, "Oh, who's that guy with the gruff voice? I'm sure I've seen him on the telly." You haven't, but you might one day.
You see, it's the voice. It's the voice.
Yeah,
like
could be
a good distinctive voice. People go, "Oh yes, it's got a familiarity of that."
Yeah.
Yes, it's got a familiar. That's the word.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't spit that out. It's been a long day, but yes, it's familiar. It's soothing. So as you say, it's a good voice for radio.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that in itself is just as a story, when you look at it, is fantastic. I mean, you kept yourself active by going to these amateur dramatic groups and stuff like that, and just doing little things, ticking over. One opportunity comes, you answer the door, and everybody thinks that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, that I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but
I've said it. It's fact now.
Well, okay, but that is the truth. He was looking for local people, and if I hadn't done all these workshops, and I was just using the tools that I'd picked up along the way, and gave a good read, and he's like, "Oh, great! I've got no qualms putting you next to these people off the telly." And it just shows that, if you keep your foot in or your toe in, whatever the phrase is, and keep your skills reasonably active, then when an opportunity does come, off you go. And I mean, off the back of that, I did a showcase at the Criterion in Piccadilly in November. So in the same year, I was within a few months, I had a stint, only one show, but on a West End stage, which was incredible.
Not many people can say that.
No,
many people can say that at all.
No, and the thing was, it was a showcase for new writers' work, and I think the done thing, because these are unpaid jobs, and they're often asking actors to work at short notice or for no pay. Everybody does it script in hand, so they perform these plays holding the script. Anyway, when I got the part, I immediately thought, I am not walking on with a bit of paper in my hand. So I went to town, learned the lines as quickly as possible. I played a policeman, a murderer, and a policeman, and of course, Oh, sorry, I got a dog. Oh, darling. Anyway, so of course, I also immediately went on eBay and bought a genuine copper's helmet so that I looked the part, and so I was the only one. I was the only one on stage who had the proper costume and no script. And because I didn't have the distraction of the piece of paper in hand, I was really able to get into the part. And afterwards, people come up saying how great it was, and I got offered a role in the feature film.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's only a small part, but it's hopefully filming later this year. And there you go.
Oh no, mate, that's amazing. I mean, look, opportunity one knocks, you answer the door. You're filming at a local theatre in Devon with lots of actors that have come up from London, despite the director looking for local people. You're the only one.
Yeah.
You then go into London Piccadilly, Evening Governor,
Yeah.
with your policeman's helmet.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, a part in a feature. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by the idea of, I just view it that this one is really important, even if it's sort of technically not big time or whatever. You just assume that's the highest you're ever going to get. That's the best you're ever going to get. And just, you know, and if it ends there, if you've treated it that way and you've had an amazing experience, you know, in that one in the West End, what was required in the closing part of the scene, I'm on stage with these characters who I've basically killed, and then I have to sort of walk center stage, survey these dead bodies, show a tear of regret, and then give a sort of a scream no, and hit the floor. But the director had also got a piece of music, and he wanted me to hit the floor on the beat as the music goes at the end. So I had to do all this perfectly timed and bring genuine tears and remember the mark and hit the light. So for like 3 nights, I was walking up and down the youth hostel bedroom, pacing out, playing this bit of music on my iPad, pacing it out so that I could get those moves that I choreographed, so that I didn't have to think about the moves, so I could just focus on the emotion. But other people are just reading off a bit of paper.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit flippant, to be honest. They're not. They're doing a great job, but they probably don't have the luxury of time to do more than that. But I'm not working, did have, and so you just use everything you've got to give it 100%.
You see, I think that's one of the. I'm going to ask you about it as well. It's one of the big differences, isn't it? When you compare something that you're doing on stage to something that you're doing behind the camera, for example, there's a lot more prep to go into it, because you don't make a mistake when you're on stage. I mean, you can, of course, people make mistakes all the time, but it's a lot to learn to not make a mistake. And as you said, you playing the music and pacing through and everything, and that's the muscle memory sort of things kicking when you're actually on stage. And it
is a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, I think different people come at it different ways. I like to learn all the lines as quickly as possible so I can forget about the lines. But other people go the other way and they focus on the emotion and what's happening, and then that makes the lines make sense for them. I think there's merits to both, and I think you find whatever works best for you. You know, one of the people that I played with, the girl who'd been on Emmerdale, when she started rehearsals, I was already off script, and she wasn't. But by the time the performance came, you know, she was absolutely tight. You know, and I know for some people they don't want to learn the lines up front because that messes with their process. But you know, as long as we're all up there bringing the truth, then whatever works.
Everybody has their own processes, I guess, and whatever works for you works for you. I'm going to ask, what does being on set and being on stage teach you? Like, what sort of things does it teach you that you can use in everyday life?
Does being on set and on stage teach you?
Like, what skills does it bring?
Well, I'll slightly diverge from what you're asking, and so I'm quite a socially anxious person. I'm currently on a referral for an adult autism diagnosis. And when I found out that I was going to be on the West End stage in this play, at the same time, I found out that there was going to be an after show party And I was extremely excited at the opportunity to be on stage, and nervous about attending an after show party, because when you're on stage, the whole thing is scripted. But when you're in a party, there's just hundreds of people, and I'm like, who am I supposed to speak to first? What if I say something weird? Oh, I haven't spoke to them yet. Have I been speaking to this person too long? So I guess maybe it can help you develop social skills. I don't know. I think one thing it can teach you is, like any craft that you engage in, when you get the result at the end, whether it's your performance on stage or if it's a short film or making a piece of jewelry or a piece of software, if you get to the end and you look at that and something good has come from your endeavors there, something that you feel a sense of pride, it's quite likely that that's required a significant amount of effort and discipline. If the result is something you go, yeah, fuck me, that's good. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. You don't probably get that from just having a go and see what happens. You know, you get that sort of feeling when you've worked for something. So yeah, I guess there's no avoiding hard work, and there's, you know, I think the rewards when you do work hard at something and it comes out good, it's just that much sweeter, isn't it? I think
It's
the importance of hard work.
It definitely is. I mean, as you say, look, when you put time, effort, energy, focus, and when you get that moment to then sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, as it were, in terms of a performance and looking back on your performance and or making something, whether it be a computer program or a piece of jewelry, an art piece. When you get a chance to look back at it, you go, yeah, I put me into that, and that's what I want to get out of it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, your setup here, you know, this, I love the fact you've got the questions here scrolling across the back there, and you've got your logo in the background. You know, you could do it a lot more shonky and it'd look okay. But you've obviously put a bit of polish into it, you know?
And it will get better. I'm always looking for improvements.
There you go. I think we're on a level there. Now that's the danger zone, let me tell you. Because you know what the danger is. Nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah, I know. It's
like,
okay.
oh yeah, well, that was okay. I can do better.
There's a song in there somewhere about "Welcome to the Danger Zone." I think I might have got the words mixed up a little bit.
Yeah, come on, Dad, give us a joke.
It's funny because I was saying to somebody else and speaking to another lady, a makeup artist, and I said to her, the thing is, I'm an ideas person. I always get ideas, and sometimes I put them into practice and sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I usually find out that sooner or later somebody else has had that same idea and then put that into practice, and I end up kicking myself going, I should have done that. And even when I start something, I then go, okay, I want to make it better. I want to make it, it doesn't stop until somebody says, look, just stop, just enough now, and let it play, and then review after a while, and then see what happens. So, I won't tinker just yet.
No, definitely not. Don't edit your work as you're going along.
No,
unless you're an editor.
But, well, no. Would you recommend people get into this industry? Would you?
I'll be honest. I'm only just really starting to view it from the perspective of it being an industry, and I was having a drink on Friday night with the chap who gave me that first opportunity. And he said, in the context of the conversation, he said, "Oh, I've got no doubt that you're going to be a successful actor." And I said, "Well, that's very kind of you to say that, but to be honest, I assume I'm not." And I don't know if it's being jaded with age, but I'm now of the view. When I was younger, you're always looking at, let's look up there. I'm reaching for the stars, or whatever, in whatever endeavor you're doing. Whether it's, when I was a jewelry designer, I wanted to be in every department store in England. I did manage to get into a few, actually, but I didn't achieve that up there, that golden, whatever you want to call it. So now I prefer to just think, back to what I said earlier, this project I'm working on now, this is the most important thing, and this is all you're ever going to do. Just make this amazing, or as amazing as you can. Do your absolute best. And if something else, another level comes along, nice one. And if it doesn't, then that's all right, because you've got the most out of, put the most in and got the most out of where you are. And also, there's just, the world is full of amazing, talented people that you will never hear of, sadly. Actors, musicians, artists, poets, whatever. There's just, so it's that sort of, I think if you're going to do anything creative, writing, painting, acting, filmmaking, anything like that, it's just do it for the love of creating something and enjoying that process. I think if you're doing it for any other reason, then it's going to be harder work. I don't know. That's just my personal view.
No, it's it's very true. You have to. I think you have to. I said, speaking with most people that I have done so far, is the creative side has always been there. And it's funny because when I use that first question, is they go, "Oh yeah, X amount of years ago," and then they delve a little bit further and they go, "Well, yeah, actually, when I was a kid, I always used to do this, and I always used to be creative. And as kids, you mostly are. As kids, you mostly are. I think it's more society that boxes us into
rings it out of you. Yeah.
And I think people enjoy getting back into it at some point, and when they do, it makes them feel alive and happy again. And as you say, if you put your heart into it and you make sure that you go, all right, well, this one is going to be my best and my last one, then that for yourself and psychologically that you've done what you've had to achieve.
Absolutely.
So, right, I've got a couple more that I want to ask you. So
go for it.
I'll be quick. This one is, should we have a small screen? I should have put TV channel in the UK, but I've put small screen channel in the UK.
What does that mean? What do you
So
mean?
there's lots of good work that gets missed, and that's because people don't know about it. And by that I mean, should the UK have? I say the UK. Should there be a more dedicated service to where people can get their short films and their short projects, their short plays? That's something they want to share with a wider audience. Should there be a channel for it? So should there be like a TV channel or a digital channel or something for it?
I mean, I don't know whether or not there is something like that. I don't know. But that would be a great idea. Yeah, I'd love to see something like that. I actually don't get much chance to watch stuff, funnily enough, myself. Other than when I'm washing up, I do tend to put something on the iPad while I'm washing up. But I think that would be great. And if because obviously you've got things like YouTube or whatever, but that's uncurated, so it's just a wash. But if there was something that I remember in the 70s when I was a kid, and maybe into the 80s as well, you seem to used to get more of those sort of play of the week type programs where you'd turn the telly on and there'd be some strange little 30-minute drama that's a standalone piece that, do you still get that sort of thing? Because that's the sort of thing I can imagine.
That's the sort of thing I would be looking at. I mean, when I asked this to somebody else, they said, you got BBC Three and Channel 4 do a bit. And you go, yeah, they do. But most of those things are from people that are already in the industry, if you know what I mean. People that are known within the industry, and it's not the same, if you know what I mean.
No.
I used to listen to a lot of radio when I was in my late teens to early 20s, not just as a DJ, but as stuff like Little Britain started on radio, and you'd hear a lot of that sort of stuff. And so radio was given, comedy and shows an outlet. But sometimes, like I said, a short film, for example, is there. If there was a place where people could go, right, you know what, there's a 30-minute film, I can go and watch it, stick it on the channel, and it's 30 minutes of my life, and I will. It helps to grow that industry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would certainly watch it.
I would.
Washing up.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, if instead of just going on YouTube and going, oh yeah, you know what, let's look up short films. If you had a dedicated channel for it, and this is my thing behind it, if you had a dedicated channel, whether it's digitally done or on main terrestrial TV, at least you could go, right, you know what, I'm on my commute to work, 30 minutes, like a podcast basically, 30 minutes I can watch a short film.
Because obviously if you go to a lot of filmmakers will make short films and take them to film festivals, but then that will be a very limited audience there, the festival audience. So in a way you're sort of opening up that audience or that content to a wider audience. I think that'd be a great idea.
Well, somebody would do it. I said I'd love to do it. It's an idea I've had for years, and it's something that I've always thought, let me ask people, is this something that people would do? Will people enjoy? Because I guess for anybody in the industry, is you do want your hard work to be seen by people, not for anything else other than you just want it to be seen, and for a lot of people, as you say, they do the festival circuit, but it's still not seen by a wider audience and appreciated enough, and that was my thinking behind it. Okay, and I just wanted to get this one in because although you're relatively new to the industry, you know about the industry, you've experienced your challenges, and I can maybe get that one in just towards the end. But what do you think the industry needs to improve?
What does the industry need to improve? Well, I think there's a definite. I was talking to my friend about it the other day. The writer chap. If you could think of it as like a ladder, I think that first rung is probably really high, and it's so. For example, if you're so one of the reasons I'm making these short films is to build a show reel, because I've got the credits that I could get a spotlight profile, but I don't have a show reel. But if any independent casting job, so if there's say a small independent filmmaker is looking to shoot a low budget short film and they're advertising great content for your show reel, just email us your show reel. So already there's kind of a barrier there. So if you went to drama school, for example, during that process of your training, you would at the end there would be a showcase where you would meet agents. You would collaborate with the film school and make show reels. So you would come out with those first sort of steps kind of covered in your training. But if you're someone who's coming at it, without that going down that route, like to get the spotlight profile, you need a couple of paid credits. But to get the audition for those credits, you need a spotlight profile, which is a classic catch-22. Now, people do manage it, but it's, and I've seen stuff on Twitter of people trying to push for a more open casting process. So someone's like, we're making a short film. It's just, all you got to do is make someone on your phone and email it to us. I mean, those opportunities do exist, but I do get the sense that a lot of people will just say, send us your spotlight profile, but you've got to do stuff to get there. But to do the stuff, you need the profile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that would certainly be one thing. The other thing in general is that it concerns me that in the 80s and 70s, 80s and 90s, you used to have lots of great films that weren't full of CGI and didn't have £200 million budgets. And it seems to be talked about more and more that basically films are either made for 2 million or 200 million, but not much happens in between, which used to be all the great films. I mean, today when I was washing up, I had the movie Big on Tom Hanks. Amazing, beautiful film. Everything about it is first class, but would that film get made today? I don't know. The studio might think that's a bit risky, a bit too risky to make that. Or we'll make it, but we'll have to use unknown people so that we only spend 2 million, we can't use Tom Hanks, And then it ends up, doesn't do very well because there's no names in it and nobody watches it.
Yeah.
So instead, we'll just churn out another Marvel. We'll do phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is great. I'm not dissing those films, but that's just one flavor, isn't it? It's a bit like, I don't know, all we eat is ice cream. But, there's no other sort of food types. I don't know. Not a great analogy, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's funny because there are lots, as you say, when you look back, there were lots of powerful performances. And I think around the turn of the millennium, around 2000, 2001, we saw a lot of CGI coming into films. And it turned a lot of people off. I was speaking to people and it turned a lot of people off because it didn't look good. It was too much. The difference between Superman when it was Christopher Reeves, for example, to Superman as it was, I think, let's say Dean Cain, I get lost. But we knew it was fake. But the illusion was good because it was still the person.
Yeah.
It wasn't a CGI of the person. It was still the person doing their bits. And so you understood it more. You still had a feeling for it. I mean, I used to watch, thanks to my brother, I used to watch a lot of Godzilla. And as a child, I'm there going, this is absolutely amazing. Because I don't know how they've done it. It's the illusion of cinema. I didn't know how they did it. And then with CGI, you just go, oh yeah, it's done on the computer, and that's nothing against that doing that on the computer because, like I said, I love the Marvel films. I love CGI in films, and I watched Avatar, the first one, for the first time just recently. I know.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't watch it at the time, and it never really bothered me that I didn't watch it. To be perfectly fair.
Now, what's great about Avatar is that's an outlier because it's completely original. It's a new original piece. That's the other thing, we get so much of this. So like I saw Ghostbusters, the first one in the 80s, saw it at the cinema. I think I was about 14. I joined a big long queue of people queued up along the street and went in and saw this film. It was in the summer holidays, and when the theme tune came on at the beginning, all the kids in the cinema were stamping their feet in time to the music, and the floor was like bouncing up and down. It's a bit sketchy, really. But, would you get a new Ghostbusters? Would you get a Back to the Future? Or do you just get stuff Do you know what I mean? It's more this. Reboots weren't a thing back then. It's all new.
It's funny that you say that because I talk to my kids a lot about music, and I said I used to be a former DJ, and I said the missus sings and stuff. So whenever we hear a song, I always go, "Oh look, I can tell you where that was sampled from." Like more times out of 10. And then every now and again, I go, "Oh, I didn't know it was even sampled before it was sampled from that." And I said, "There's always been that in the music industry." I said, "Don't be deluded about it." I said, "The things with the films nowadays is, as you say, they're rebooted. It's a reboot, so it's Ghostbusters X and it's Back to the Future 12, and it's fine if you're continuing a franchise, you're trying to bring it up to date and stuff like that, but." It is only every now and again you get an original piece of film that you go, okay, well, that I wasn't expecting that, and but then
a whole new world, a whole new universe.
But even with that I'll give you one example, and I've used this one before, but it doesn't matter. The Matrix, when that first came out, I thought was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant. I didn't need a second one. I didn't need a third one. That first one was brilliant. The rest is up to your imagination.
Yeah.
And they could have done it and stopped like that, but they continued it because the money came in, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah." And then the way I watched the second one, I went, "Well, that was pointless." Yeah. And again, they had great CGI and stuff like that, but you just go, "Well, that was pointless," wasn't it? Like, you just set it up for the last one, and then the last one is.
I mean, I walked out of that first one, and you're like, "Is this real? Is the world real?" It was mind blowing.
Like I said, the second and third one is. I was mortified by the second one, especially even the way it ended. It just said to be continued, and you just went, "Why? Why have you done that? Why have you done that?" And then I was convinced to go to the third one because they said, "No, it's going to be great. They're going to tie it up, and it's going to be this, that, and the other." And I walked out, just went, I could have done with not seeing those two films.
That's something in the UK that we do well with our TV. We make 2 seasons with 6 episodes. Done. Then we'll sell it to America, and they can make 40 seasons and milk
The Office.
Shit out of it. We don't care. Yeah, but we don't do that here.
No, it can just end. I think we've run out of time, and I don't want to keep you any longer.
No worries.
I'll get in one more short one. Go
on.
Let's end on a good one. Okay. Who is your biggest inspiration in your field?
Biggest
whatever field it
inspiration.
is. Who's your biggest inspiration?
Who is your biggest inspiration? I watched a load of YouTube videos just this week about Quentin Tarantino. And one of them was quite an in-depth behind the scenes on his film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I would say he is a huge inspiration because not only does he make these amazing films with an enormous amount of attention to detail, but they're also completely unique and not necessarily obviously commercial, even though they're successful. It's where it's one of those rare things where somebody has made something that is popular, commercially successful, yet you can still consider it to be, in the realms of art, not just pop,
Yep.
So, yeah, I guess I would say Quentin Tarantino.
Perfect. Wayne, let us end it there. Thank you for your time.
No worries.
Wayne's short film, when it does come out, there'll be a whole big fanfare and everything. So I'm going to make lots of noise and share it with the world. And I encourage everybody everybody to watch it. So Wayne, thank you for your time. He's been Wayne. They call me Stepney, behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. And Wayne, give him a wave. Say bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.